Welcome back, guys. I'm Leland with Bottom Table Tyrants, and today we got 5 tips for Dungeon Masters running Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Let's get into it. If you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you want to get stuff from DriveThruRPG like I do, I want to let you know that they are one of our new affiliate links down in the description. Please use the link there to go get the products from DriveThruRPG because it really helps out this channel. Thanks. Also, guys, if you're a player and want to play this scenario, then tell your GM to definitely check this one out. But from this moment forward, there will be spoilers. So players, please send your GM this way, but do yourself a favor and stop this video here, lest you have this experience ruined. I highly recommend you watch my other video, 5 player tips for playing Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. I'll throw a card up right now, and hopefully you can go over and watch that instead of watching this one. But please, send your GM this way. Thanks, guys. Alright, number 1. Talk to your players. I know this one seems like, okay, yeah, I'm the GM, I get it, I should talk to my players. But this is especially if they're new. This is a starter set, so you're probably going to be running this with newer players because it's generally set for like 1 to 3 in the levels. And we want to talk about their surroundings in combat and about role-playing in combat. If they're running the adventure with pre-made characters, you can go through those character sheets and point it out to them like, okay, you're a wizard, here's some of your spells, here's how the spells work, here's how spell slots work. Like, this is a great teaching opportunity with this starter set because it gives you just the right amount of information for what you need for a new player. Dungeons & Dragons can be very confusing for a new player. I've had, new players that struggled and eventually took hold of it and have had, some go really quick and pick it up quickly, and other players, even video game playing players that I feel like should always pick stuff up like this pretty quickly. Pen and paper is different than a video game because it doesn't, there's rails on a video game. There's areas you can't go. There's, having the ability to do literally anything can be overwhelming for players. So giving them some things to do. So pointing out that as a fighter, here's some attacks you might want to consider. Describing to them how you can be descriptive in your attacks. And instead of just being like, hey, with my sword, instead of being like, okay, I want to climb up on this rock and jump off and bring my sword down on top of his head, like, be more descriptive with your attack other than I swing my sword. So, things like that. Just, this is a teaching opportunity. Use it. So that's number 1. So in continuing to try to boost their creativity, because this is a game of creativity. If you can be creative, if you can think outside the box, if you can think outside the character sheet, then this game is great. Using non-combat items against enemies, such as outwitting the zombies by outmaneuvering them, or using, seawater or spring water from the Seagrow caves in that first kind of adventure. Usually that's probably what I would think you would go to. If you don't, that's fine. So using water when you fight the fire snake, I would be amazed by that. So if a player were to scoop up that water, because maybe they're considering it might have magical properties, or if they even run in the other room, because where the snake, the fire snake will show up, they have to go to another place to get water. But if they lured that fire snake to the water, that's something like these are what we're trying to teach our player characters to do. Instead of just hitting it with your sword, like I always say, instead of just doing that, think creatively, attack creatively, fight creatively, be creative as a player. Think outside the box. I like to tell a story about the bear in Pathfinder. We had run into a bear early in the adventure and in a dungeon, and we had shut it into a room and locked the door. And when we finally got to the boss battle, I went running out of the room, and people were like, what the heck, Leland, where are you going? And I pretty much had my character, old Flecky Moonshroom, my goblin, yell, I'm going to get the bear! And as he ran down the hallway. And so he literally ran to the other end of the dungeon, which it wasn't that far. I think it took me 2 turns to get there. Yanked open the door that we had like jammed closed with the giant angry grizzly bear in it, and then I let it chase him all the way back. And as it came into the room, he tried to like matador over it and try and land on it, because turns out Flecky Moonshroom likes to ride things and throw poop. So he tried to ride the bear, failed the roll, but still the bear entered combat. It's kind of a weird neutral character in all that combat, a third party. And I'm pretty sure it, got a nice big bear swipe on the main lady that we were fighting with. Thinking outside the box. Bringing the bear into the fight. Use that as your mantra. But how can you bring the bear into the fight? What can you do that's going to change the game up. So running into the other cavern to get some water out of that spring, or even running all the way back to where the ocean is to get some water to throw on the fire snake, I would let that be devastating to that fire snake, because I don't know about you, but I would think using water against a fire type, that's going to be super effective. All right, number 3. When using flying type creatures that in this adventure, a lot of times these are going to be new players. They may be stumped. They may be baffled by this. When the harpy can just take off and take, and go above and the characters and stay out of combat, pose the question to him, like, what are you going to do about this? Like, what's the plan, guys? Put this as a problem to them. That's your job as a GM, is to throw problems to your players and see how they fix it. And again, I'm on the other side of this argument on PCs, in that I feel like flying isn't broken, because trust me, I can always have a goblin that's mutated because of the dark crystal that they're protecting to have wings, so they can go fly up. And a PC flying away from the group, that's not an advantage, that's a disadvantage. You just separated yourself from all the support down in the rest of your group and left yourself completely stranded and cut off from all of their support. So I'm going to hit you with sturges, I'm going to hit you with some crossbows, I'm going to hit you with all kinds of stuff. But let's think of it in the reverse. Okay, now the enemy is a flying creature. What's your guys got? Hopefully you have a wizard in there that might be able to do it. Hopefully your PCs have a rope or something that maybe they can lasso that guy and pull him down. Be creative. That's what we want to continue to just pound into our PCs. We want you to think outside the box. You don't always just get to hit that guy with the sword. You can be creative. What are you going to do when this enemy flies out of reach and just keeps dive bombing down and hitting you, and then tries to, just disengage, and before everyone can get their turn to hit it back? That can be really tricky. Now, something I would do, that harpy is on the ship. You want to describe to those players that there's netting everywhere, there's rope everywhere. Like, if they didn't bring that 50-foot of rope, okay, there's rope laying around this ship. In the upper parts that are above the water, hint to them that there's rope and netting and all kinds of things that maybe they could use. Maybe they could climb up to the crow's nest and, try and net him from above or something, or at least get up to his level possibly. Fighting up on those masts, heck yeah, that sounds like a great fight. You're going to have to use dexterity for balance, all kinds of things like that. It can be dangerous if you got knocked loose and fall. Hopefully you can grab onto netting on the way down. You can give them some saves to not fall off, to catch some netting as they fall down, to maybe hopefully land in a pile of rope to soften their fall. That's 3 checks all the way down, so they don't, just end themselves as they're coming down. So, guys, lasso that harpy, pull him down to your level, or go up to his. Maybe it's just me as an Okie, but that's the first thing I come up with as, thinking of all this rope laying around and you got a guy flying up there. We're going to just lasso him and pull him right back down to us. That's no problem. All right, guys, number 4. I would further develop the bridge puzzle when you get to that final area in the Clifftop Observatory. And here's what I would do. I have a lot of things that I get. I use these two. We got the puzzle ball and we got the pyramid. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube style pyramid that has different colors and stuff. So I personally, what I do and how I use this, or these, I guess, is if this is if an intelligence is a dump stat, you're not going to love this one, because everyone always gets 1 change. So if you have an intelligence of 0, you can do this. That's your turn during if you're trying to manipulate this item to get it to work to turn on the bridge, and you have an intelligence of 0, you get that. If you're a -1, -2, you're still gonna always get 1. But if you have pluses, if you're that wizard that has like +3 because you're a wizard and you didn't use intelligence as your dump stat, then you get 1 plus your +3. So you could actually get 4. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Have you solved it yet? Not quite. Okay. Next turn. And everyone can get a turn, making a turn equal to 1 plus their intelligence bonus. So that's how I use these. Same thing for this one. This is kind of just a very different version of it, in that you're trying to line up all these different balls with the same color holes as what they, so this orange one, I'm going to move it over to the orange hole. That one's complete. So you're trying to move all these to the right holes for what they are supposed to be in. And once you've done that, the puzzle ball is turned on, and you can now set it into the bridge and turn it on. These are super cheap. They're only like $8-9 on Amazon. I'll post up that right now. Okay, tip number 5. The final fight with Sparkrender. This is the blue dragon that they're going to fight at the end of this scenario. You want to keep the fight interesting. It's going to go for a little longer than most of the other fights that you're going to see in this game. So what you want to do, or I guess what I would suggest, is that you change it up. That's probably the best way to describe it. You're going to start the fight on the ground with Sparkrender staying on the ground. He's not scared of these guys. He's a big dragon wormling. So he thinks he's big and bad. So he's going to start on the ground. After he takes about a third of his damage, he's going to fly up in the sky. Just like that harpy. Make it a problem, okay? He's going to stay up in the sky, try and, use his lightning breath, stuff like that on the player characters. How do they get him down? New problem. Then, once he starts to get tired, if he takes another third, the second third of his damage, he's going to drop down to the ground. He's too tired to fly. He's starting to get worn out, but he's getting more and more mouthy. That's the other thing. That's the other part of this. So, changing up how he fights. Maybe he starts using a tail attack or something like that on that as he gets worn out and he comes back down. Add a new attack in that he hasn't been doing. Have Sparkrender keep up a steady banter with the players. I would like to have him speak in kind of a rough common. He has this voice that's just very draconic. Because it says he speaks draconic. I wouldn't do that because I'm sure there are some characters that speak that way, but let him just talk to everybody. That way he can tease and taunt anyone. Even when he does get hit, you want him to tease them. Be like, that didn't hurt too much, stuff like that. So keep up the banter. And this is something that you as the GM have to remember to do, is kind of remember to reply when things happen, especially during those misses. That's probably the main time that I usually use it, is when they miss. I'll taunt the players with stuff like that. And so, because this guy's just so full of himself, and you want to play this up to the player characters, and because they're going to bring him down a peg, and that just makes the victory feel that much better when they kind of shut up this loudmouth. That's it, guys. That's my 5 quick tips for playing Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Please, if you have any comments, put them down in the comments below. I really want to hear your feedback. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. We want to share this. This is a community. We want to share this with each other on how we're playing this game. All right, thanks, guys. We love you. Leland out.